Started. Scott Mitchell here with It's My Game speaker highlights. It's My Game Kids Tennis Conference, a global conference like never before, August 14th to the 23rd. You can go to the website conference.evolve9.com to register. We've got all sorts of discounts going on for the next couple of weeks, so go there quickly, check it out, and register. And we're spending some time with all the different speakers, as you can see through our speaker highlights. And today we're meeting with Nick, the Director of Tennis in Albany Tennis in New Zealand. Welcome, Nick.
Hi, guys. Hi, Mike. Scott, sorry.
Yeah, you're talking to everybody from around the world, which is really cool. Which is neat about this conference is it's not a conference like we normally see where, you get some adult stuff, you might have some kid stuff. This is strictly for coaches that deal with kids, have programs or coach kids. So we're excited to have you on because I know that you do so much in the kids realm. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in your Director of Tennis role.
Okay, thanks, Scott. So my role is Tennis Manager Director at the Albany Tennis Centre, which is one of two indoor centres in Auckland. We have over 20 courts, quite a big centre, and what we do is we have a pathway for kids from the ages of 4 all the way up to kids that hopefully want to go to American college tennis. So I focus on the under 12s, where we work on all sorts of athletic skills, ball skills. We do groups, we do practice sessions, we run competitions, and we run all that through the Evolution program. So my main role is to look after 6 coaches and the under 12 program, but also we look after adults here as well. And then we have another director, which is more the academy director, and that's a guy called Jeff Simpson, and he works with the sort of 12 plus age group. So I tend to work with the younger ones, develop them, and then when they get to a point where they want to sort of play, travel a little bit more and play and look to go to the American college tennis system, then that's when I pass them over to Jeff.
Wow, and you've got years of history. I know you do such a great job out there. And I'll tell, so for coaches or facilities that have a junior program or are starting a junior program, what are the key elements that you think that the program itself needs to have in place to be successful? Yeah,
so I think, the elements of evolution are the practice, the social, parent communication, the lessons, and also the tournaments. So and like Mike says really, really well, it's about getting everything and making it stick like glue. So if you ask most of the kids, when I ask what's your favorite session of the week, they will say it was the practice. As much as we all try and the coaches try, we hope them to say, oh, it's the lessons that you do, but they enjoy that as well. But it's the practice sessions are absolutely vital. Where, just last week I had a child say to me, "Hey Nick, I want to tell you something," and I said, "Oh, what is it?" And he was telling me about this high backhand volley that he hit. It was the highlight of his week. It wasn't the topspin forehand cross court that we might have been working on as a competence in the program. So yeah, so it's about getting everything and making sure it all sticks. And everything's got to work with each other. It's all got to be relevant, for the children to understand the context of what you're trying to do. Yeah, so I wouldn't say it was just one thing in particular. It's just getting everything and making sure that it all sticks together and creates an environment where kids can learn.
So those coaches that may not be familiar with the Evolution program, can you tell us a little bit more about that? I know I'm familiar with it. There are some that are out there that are familiar with it, but it's really the only child-centered program where it's really designed around the needs of the child. Can you explain how it works at your club and how successful it's been for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest success has been the behaviors as the driver. I think a lot of coaches in the past have had some really good content around technical skills and athletic skills and all the different skills, the physical and the mental and emotional skills. But I think when you have a driver that's saying, hey, look, let's break it down. These are the 4 behaviors that are going to drive. And when we get that right, then as a byproduct of that, the kids become more skilled. And as a byproduct of the skill, they'll become better tennis players. So definitely the big influence is the behaviors and getting the behavior right and getting the environment where all the kids work together. They're all respectful of the coaches and grateful and respectful of their parents, and also respectful of the group and the other kids in the group. And the second one is explore, where kids quite often, well, some kids more than others are quite linear with their learning. They like to listen and they like to do what you ask them to do, but to give them those opportunities where they can explore and become more comfortable in their own skin is absolutely vital as well. Obviously, the training one's probably the easiest one to understand for most coaches, because if a kid's sweating, if the kid's trying to get your ball down, I think that one's probably something that the coaches will be doing incredibly well, and it's probably the easiest one to implement. And the last one is compete. And I think possibly in the past, I think we've all been guilty, including myself, where probably not enough competition in the actual lesson, just sort of like doing a lesson, doing all the content's been great, you know, even the context is great, but it's like, it's not competitive. The environment's quite often not competitive enough, so it doesn't quite hook them in. Yeah. So I'd say those 4 behaviours as a driver has been absolutely critical to the success of the tennis centre at the moment.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it as well in your comment about the communication piece between the coaches and the parents. And I think, you know, that's an area that a lot of times programs are missing, and coaches, you know, because they're on the court so often, maybe even before and after the lesson that they had with their child, that they're not able to communicate often. So what are the different, even through the evolution program, what are some of the different avenues that you use to communicate with parents? Yeah, well,
we have, actually we have a challenge tool which has been really, really helpful, which is basically we have practice sessions during the week, but the challenge tool is where they can practice at home, and they get to choose how much or how little they do. It creates the opportunity where the parents will then send through the scores, and quite often there'll be comments coming in with that as well, saying, oh, my child really struggles with this, or what's the relevance of this exercise to the tennis lesson, or how is this really going to improve my child's tennis? So we have those conversations that a lot of them are thinking, but don't actually say anything about it. So with the challenge tool, for example, it actually creates more natural communication. So when they don't just send it in, they quite often ask, why am I doing this? And why do I need to sign it? You know, and little things like that, which creates. The other one is the parent seminars. We run a parent seminar 1 to 2 times per term. And that would be, there's 2 types. There's like a workshopy one where the parents get to sort of get together and sort of, I give them some questions and they work together within their group. And then the actual seminar presentation is where I'll be talking something about elements of the program, or how they can maximize their child's own potential and things like that. So combination of doing face-to-face chats, seminars, and also just sort of monitoring home exercises that they can do as well.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. And as we know, it's a huge element of a really good kids program, is that communication, not only between the coach and the parent and the child, but that all 3 of them working together to make sure the communication is consistent. So tell us, I know you're going to do at least 1 presentation for us during the conference. We're going to try to keep you as busy as possible, but tell us a little bit about your presentation, Black and White and Gray.
Okay, so my own personal philosophy is very aligned with evolution, so that's one of the things that attracted me, and also to try and get, when I'm working with the coaching team here, is to make sure that they don't just copy what I'm doing. I want them to really understand what I'm doing. So my philosophy is competence, autonomy, and purpose, which is called I call it the thinking cap. And to get that competency, or technical competencies and physical competencies, we need to make sure that they're doing exercises that allows them to become comfortable in their own skin, and exercises that motivate them and give them confidence and give them physical competence. And also give them knowledge and understanding about how their body works, and how, if I have these prerequisite skills, how can that transfer to tennis technique. So a lot of the presentation, well, my presentation, a lot of the emphasis is going to be on how do you develop those prerequisite skills in an open skilled sport without just making it like you're throwing mud against the window and hoping things stick. How does it link in with your program? How is it relevant? How can we use these exercises to make it fun and enjoyable for the kids? Because even recently, I had a child come to me recently, and he was having a lesson with me, and he's saying, I actually find tennis really boring. This is his first lesson. And I said, why do you find tennis boring? He said, oh, well, I just stand still and I hit forehands and backhands, but I said, oh, hopefully I can change your opinion on what actually tennis really is. It's not about statically standing still, hitting forehands and backhands. It's do you have adaptable technique? Can you move your body in certain ways where you can pick up different balls? And when you can, you're going to enjoy the game more because you have more of a diverse range of skills. And after about the second session, I didn't win straight away, but over time, the parents looking down, the child's understanding, going, hey, this is fun. I'm getting a bit of a sweat on. I'm getting to these balls a lot easier. And actually all this technical stuff that I've learned, it actually makes a hell of a lot more sense now. So now I can adapt my technique without wondering, do I always have to have the same shape? Is it okay to do this with my body? Is it okay to create this certain action? So yeah, the presentation is going to be around how we can implement hand-eye coordination, adaptable movement skills into your training sessions.
That's awesome. I can't wait to, I've seen a lot of your videos, so I'm excited to see your presentation, your videos that are out there through the Evolution and the Evolve 9 and the challenge tour that we did this last few months have been awesome. So those of you that haven't seen that, make sure you check that out. If you had one thing to tell clubs and coaches, because I know in New Zealand, tennis is thriving, it's doing well in your area. What is the one thing that you think that coaches or clubs need to be focusing on to try to drive more kids to be playing tennis?
I personally think, and you can do this in traditional methods as well, but just be creative and playful. I think the kids love to play, and a lot of them love to be creative, and also they like the opportunity to be creative as well. And quite often, a lot of the kids enjoy a lot of the work I do. Just because it allows them to express themselves a little bit as well, and allows their bodies to adapt. So I think we just need to be careful on, is there a balance between instruction and play? And I feel that that's a real vital component when we're working with young kids. And like if you ask, I can almost guarantee if you ask if you ask 1,000 kids, what do they do? Do they want to play or do they want instruction? They're probably going to say, oh, I want a bit of both, but I want to play. Yeah. But if you ask a parent that, you're probably not going to get the same answer. They're probably going to insist that there should be more instruction. So I think it's getting that balance and being playful and creative, whether that's through your own personality or it's through the exercises. But definitely, when you look at other sports, a lot of other sports are doing that very well. Where there is that element of creativity and playfulness, and that's ultimately what kids, that's a big motivation for kids, and that could also be through the way that you structure the lesson in regards to like gamification and things like that. So it's not just about doing fancy exercises. It could be being playful and creative in many different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially here in the United States, you hit it the nail on the head with that. I think there's a lot of programs out there that are probably too focused on the instructional side and not letting the kids have fun, and that's why as soon as the lessons are over, you see the kids run over to another court and just start hammering it up and having a good time, because that's a big piece for them. That's part of the learning pathway for them, and we think it's all about just making sure they have great forehands and backhands. And they just want to have fun a lot of times.
And an interesting, I agree, Scott, an interesting thing with that as well is if how does a child have fun? And I asked some of the kids, is there anything that you find incredibly fun that you're absolutely hopeless at? And a lot of them say, no, I quite like skiing because I get to fall over and stuff like that. But very few of them will say, oh yeah, I'm really, really, really hopeless at this and I love it, it's so much fun. So I find that when they become more competent and they become more confident, that the fun is just a byproduct to that. So quite often they go, hey, look, tennis is so much more fun now that I'm quite good at it, or just competent. And that tends to escalate. The fun element tends to escalate when they become more competent and confident.
That's so true. Well, I know you're busy. I know I drug you off the court in the middle of the morning over there in New Zealand, so I appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing your presentation. If you're interested in the conference, go to conference.evolve9.com. Register today. You're going to see over 20 presentations and speakers. We've got over 40 hours worth of content. And Nick, I appreciate your time, and we can't wait to see you. And we look forward to having you part of the conference.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Cheers.